And with that, we'll start. Hey now, everybody, and welcome back to the Score More podcast. Pat Stoetzer of CMSportsNet. Michael Duffy on vacation this week, but I got a good co-host with me. It's Larry Luthe, Liberty football coach. Coach Luthe, thanks for joining us on the Score More podcast. We talked about wanting to do this for a while, and we got it done.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
It should be a good day.
Yeah, it should be. We'll talk about football and all the good things because really we're only less than a month away now from the first day of
28 days. I just put it up on the bulletin board today.
Who's counting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Summer goes fast. They always go fast. But I want to ask you as a head coach, a longtime head coach, I know you want to get away from it for a while in the summer, and there's 7-on-7 football camp in June and things like that. But how do you approach each summer as you go through your coaching career? Try to savor some of that time, but also still with an eye on the next season.
I mean, I think every team figures out how they're going to do their off-season workout programs. And one of the things that has changed over the last 20 years is more and more staffs, or 30 years, more and more staffs don't have full-time teachers on their staff.
Yeah.
And when you have full-time teachers, it made your summer program a lot easier because you could split up the weeks. I only got a week off this year because I'm the only one with teaching hours. And so, I had to cover it almost every out of our 7-week program. I'm covering 6 of them.
Yeah.
And so you try to be creative and work around that. They were able to help me out. We split up the days on the one day. But I do think that's a huge change when you look at the staffs in the county. How many of them have people that are outside the education field coaching? Great for the knowledge part of it, but it does add to some of the stress of your summer workout programs.
And how have you seen those programs evolve from year 1, to year 14 here? You're going into year 14 at Liberty, and you want the kids in the weight room as much as possible. Some years are better than others, I think. But how have you seen those progress as you've gone along?
So one of the things we did this year, which I was excited about, we changed our lifting program to be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We worked with somebody to help how we could correctly work the muscles in those 3 days. But I wanted to allow kids to have long weekends. I do think with year-round sports and kids playing in tournaments, kids playing, practicing other sports at night, that I really wanted to try to free up some of their time and give them some long weekends. And it also helps me, I'm not going to lie, with a 4-day weekend here and there.
Sure. So
we've really spent a lot of time with that, and we feel like we have a pretty good program going. And we hired an outside speed and agility group to work with our kids. So by doing that, it allows the kids to have 3-day or 4-day weekends, which I think is huge.
But also work hard on those 3 days.
Exactly.
Right?
And you can kind of focus it down. Hey, these are the 3 days we're getting after it. Yeah. And then you guys got, hopefully you're doing another sport. I've always been a big advocate. Play as many sports as you can. Heck, you're in high school. The vast majority of us, this is the end of the road for us.
Sure.
And so you might as well, if you love 3 sports, play all 3 sports. If you want to play golf once a week, make sure you play golf once a week. Whatever gets you away. Football should be the most important thing when you're on the football field, and maybe during the season while you're preparing it. Right. But there's a whole lot of other things in life I think kids need to enjoy. And the truth of the matter, some of the parents need to let them enjoy the other things in life too.
How you were an athlete at one point and a coach and so on and so forth. And when you were in high school and then when I was in high school, it was just get in the weight room and lift the big heavy plates and that's it, right? How different is it now? I can tell by you talking about speed and agility and looking at film, and it's got to be a good thing.
So I always tell the story. When I went to college, I probably benched 225 pounds, and the strength coach was like, you work too hard not to be stronger. Well, I did the same workout 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 sets of 10 on the bench, 3 sets of 10 on the squats, 3 sets of 10. When you got better at it, you put 5 pounds on each side, and you went through the whole thing till you could do it. And so when I got to college, I was struggling to do 225, 230, and all of a sudden they put me on a college program, which is what every kid has access to now. It was a 5-3-1, which is what we've adapted, but that's what we use at Liberty. And my bench went from like 225 to 275 in 7 months. But
a new program got you going.
Well, and I understood the importance of rest. I don't think everybody understood. That's probably our biggest issue with the kids that work hard is they'll give you a great hour at Liberty, but then you find out that they went over to their home gym and worked out for another hour and a half. and they're never giving their bodies really the recovery time they need. So it's like you got two extremes: somebody that's all in and they're gonna do it, and then you got the other kids that they show up on Monday and they want to be doing their max by Friday, and not understanding that it's a constant progress, and you go away, you're going to lose something, and there's nothing wrong with that. You should go away and do other things, but you can't barely bench 250 on May 16th and then not lift again until June 16th because you have other things in your life, and think that you're at the same strength. You're going to lose some stuff, and kids, oh man, I'm getting weaker. Well, it'll come back. You just got to work hard.
You got to find that balance too,
right? And that the consistency, the balance, the time, and understanding, 50 minutes a day or 50 minutes 3 times a week is better than a 3-hour lifting session on a Saturday. All those kind of things that, again, I guess that's the maturity of adults that we understand, and hopefully the kids get to. For me, it's my weight. I'll lose 5 pounds going on vacation and not want to step on the scale because I know I put those 5 pounds back on, and then I want to know why didn't I lose them all by the next Friday? I put them on in a week, but that's just
the magic of our bodies, right?
Right, and that's how it works. But we got to teach these kids, instant things don't happen instantly, and that, I think that's the world they live in. Is things get answered instantly, things get solved instantly. That's part of our job as coaching is trying to encourage them when they're not seeing the progress at the rate they want to see it.
Every season you've had, I could probably ask you about memories and things, and you could probably tell me some good ones and bad ones along the way. But this past one was a memorable one at Liberty. Got to the state tournament, did good things, won that big playoff game on the road in Williamsport. What made the guys come together the most last year for Liberty football in 2024?
We really worked hard as a team. Like they were close with each other, and we had some really, really talented athletes that were willing to take the game and put it on their shoulders. And when that happens, everybody understands their role. And I think our role players said, okay, this is what I have to do to be successful. And then our talented players stepped up and said, this is what I have to do to make us successful. And everybody kind of took us a minute, but everybody figured out where they belonged and where they had to be. And that momentum kept building, and we had a couple things go against our way at Douglas, but we were in the game. It was, I think people thought we were going to go down there and get blown out. We were in the game, and a couple bad things happened, and they pulled away a little bit.
Right.
But it was a memorable year. We had some great wins, had some frustrating losses, but I think, again, looking back in hindsight, probably the more important thing is how they came together and how they figured out how to be part of something bigger than themselves. And in some cases, it took a little sacrifice of what their personal, where they thought they were, who they thought they were personally. They had to kind of step back and say, well, this is where I fit in with this team. And as a group, they did that. And that's awesome when you see people realizing that they're part of something bigger than themselves, and they can find where they fit in, and then they work hard to be the best at that role.
Yeah. You've had battles through the years with a lot of these county teams. Westminster and you guys have been in battle. South Carroll's been a battle. They got you again this time, and it was back and forth the last couple of times. Williamsport's been a battle too. You faced them in the playoffs a couple of times, but then you go on the road this year and get that win against them. What was that atmosphere like in that game like? Because they would score, you would score. They would score, and then eventually it kind of was a crazy fourth quarter ending for you guys.
It really was. I'm sure it was as much of it was a dream for us, it was a nightmare for Tim Small and his group. We made one more play than they did. I think we had the never give up attitude there. Going into that game, we had lost Austin Saffron with a hurt shoulder, and Kevin Poole was all banged up.
Right, 2 guys who played well for you all year.
Yeah, so all of a sudden we're going to start our sophomore running back,
Tyson Puckett.
And I think the kids said, you know what, we got a young guy here, and we got to take care of him. And we blocked a little bit better on the line.
Party.
Yeah, we blocked a little bit better on the line, and he was phenomenal. He made some great plays, and we laughed because the week before Austin gets hurt, and I put in somebody else at running back because we're playing Westminster, or it wasn't the week before; it was the end of the season Westminster game.
Yeah,
and I'm like, we have less than a touchdown lead. They're going to be ripping at the ball. You haven't carried the ball a whole lot this year. And the last thing I wanted to do was put him in, have them tear the ball away, and him lose him forever.
Demoralized, yeah.
And, he goes, Coach, I totally understand. And then he goes out and does what he does against Williamsport, and I apologize. He goes, no, you still did the right thing. You still did the right thing.
You should have put him in the Westminster game.
That's what I said. But he's like, no, you still did the right thing. He goes, because they would have been trying to tackle me. They've been trying to tackle the ball. And, again, he found what his role was, and then when he got an opportunity, he did a great job with it, took big advantage of it. And
huge plays.
Yes.
Broke off huge runs. You're down in that game. You go for 2 and take the lead in the fourth. And then, 2 pick sixes, a tip pass that gets run in by Tristan, and then Kevin Curran runs in the nail in the coffin.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Just a crazy finish.
It was a crazy finish. Like I said, it was a dream for us, a nightmare for them. And, we've been on the other side of that.
Exactly.
So
they beat you in a high-scoring affair a couple years ago in the playoffs.
Exactly. So it's great, and he's got a great staff, and hopefully we'll see him again.
The reward, like you said, was to get to the state tournament and play Douglas, and it didn't end the way you wanted it to. But to go down there and to represent the school and the program, a feather in the cap for Liberty football, and Tristan West led the way for you guys last year. A lot of guys did. You had Chase Miller at quarterback. We mentioned Kevin Poole. Your receivers were talented. Your defense was good. You and I talked all year and then at the end of the year about just what kind of kid Tristan was on the field and off the field, but he played both ways. He played all 3 ways. He played special teams and ran one back for a touchdown in that game against Douglas. But what was his impact? And we asked him as our male athlete of the year what it was, and he talked about his impact. What did you think his impact was at Liberty High School?
Well, first off, I think Tristan has a great attitude he wants to win and he prepares to win, but he also wants to have fun. Like, he brings energy to everything he does. So, we were talking about him and Tyson's brother, Steven, was a D-back. And Tyson was first team All-County as a junior. A lot of that was because he covered Tristan every day in practice.
Steven, yeah.
Yeah, Steven. And they talked constantly back and forth, and then they went at it.
Yeah, a little trash talking.
Yeah, in a positive way.
Yeah.
But
motivational.
But I think they always had a smile on the face at going at each other, and I think Tristan had the ability to raise other people's games because he worked hard enough that he could be a little bit demanding. I think. Some of the issues people have when you talk about showing up to the weight room and things like that. Well, I don't care who you are. If you don't show up to the weight room and you say so and so, why are you jumping off sides? They're like, you're not invested in this. Why are you giving me a hard time?
Right.
So I think his leadership showed in everything he did. He was attended the weight room. He worked his butt off in the weight. I mean, he was benching almost 300 pounds by going into his senior year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing everything right, and I think that kids followed him. He had some natural leader, and then he has a great charisma about him. So I think all of those things, his charisma, his desire to win, but his ability to temper that with having a good time while he's out there, I think just made him a natural go-to leader for us.
He didn't even take a break. He was right to basketball, and I saw you in the gym there a few times. And what was it like watching him do what he did on the basketball court? Because he's a talented kid. He took them to the state semifinals, the furthest they'd ever gone.
Again, he's got a competitive nature about him.
No rest,
and he's a great athlete. I mean, he truly is one of the best athletes I've coached. He's probably not the fastest. He probably doesn't jump the highest. He's probably not the strongest. But the combination of them puts him up there with, and God blessed him with some natural size. And so if you put his work ethic and his size together, he's. And I don't think he did not work as hard from his junior year to his senior year from his sophomore year to his junior year. So I think this work ethic, he's going to a junior college now.
Yep.
That could carry him, and we might see him at a D1 school or a smaller D1 school, or who knows, maybe even a big one.
Sure.
I think the sky's the limit for him.
I was gonna say, he doesn't have a ceiling.
Yes.
Not a low ceiling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where that takes him, and I think he's learned the value of hard work over those things.
Right.
Like you said, his workout in the summer, his ability to work so hard, I do think that allowed him to move from one to the other without too much, not breaking down too much.
Yeah. I know you're a Liberty guy. You want Liberty to win, but you're also a fan and supporter of Carroll County football through the years. The playoff rules have changed in the last few years, and everyone gets in. But we've seen Carroll County teams make good runs in the playoffs. You guys had one last year, Winters Mill before you. Westminster's done it. Liberty's done it in the years. We know South Carroll got to the finals. how pleased are you with the way Carroll County shows out in football? Because there was a long time where it was like, okay, well, Carroll just is competitive with each other, but it doesn't do well outside the county. Not so much the case anymore.
I think Frederick County's still the big dog, probably followed by Montgomery County, and but everybody else we compare to, and I think that's a testament to the coaching. Testament to and probably more so the coach's ability to get the best athletes in the school to come out and play football,
right?
Which is what coaching's all about: getting the best players and getting them on the same page.
Yeah,
I think. I'll be curious to see how the new alignment works out. Again, because now we're going to be playing with Frederick, and Frederick's top four, they're different. Right. They're top 4 or 5 schools. They're a little different. But I always say to our kids, we've played Walkersville every year since I've gotten there. To me, that's a great litmus test for us to see where we truly are.
Yeah,
and obviously,
solid program.
Right, and my goal obviously is to play with the Walkersville of the world. When Nate Kent was here, we actually went and scrimmaged Ligonor because we thought we were. Going to be I think we played Ligonor. We thought we were going to be a special team.
Right.
We were special, all right. But that's still your goal. Is you want to get to where the best are.
Yeah.
And I think our kids, every coach in Carroll County wants their kids to be competitive and is doing all the things, getting them in 707s, opening up the weight room in the summer, encouraging them to go to camps and to do things to sell Carroll County football and to sell themselves. And, we're always going to compete with lacrosse out here just because of the type of kids we have.
Sure.
And, Liberty baseball is phenomenal.
Yes.
So, there's a couple kids on the baseball team I would have loved to see on the football team. And, you ask them, but I'm not getting Travis mad at me either.
Coach Inch.
Exactly.
You want to get mad at you, yeah.
But, we want, for us to be successful, we have to get every kid that is a great athlete that wants to play football out on the field playing football, and I think that we've done a good job of that in Carroll County as a whole.
Yeah, I was just going to add, Carroll County, I think there were years where it was you would agree it was top heavy. Westminster was the king, and then everyone else was trying to fight. You guys took it for a while. South Carolina for a while. Look at this last year. Century wins a playoff game, has a winning season. Century has a winning season. FSK wins a playoff game. You guys do what you do. Westminster had their success. The games themselves, Man Valley and Westminster, dogfight. You and South Carolina, dogfight. Century and Liberty in the last couple, it's, as you know, dogfights. It wasn't the case for a lot of those years. It feels like that's what you're talking about, a testament to the kids and the coaches about coming together and making the most of this whole year, the 7-on-7, the weight room, the summer workouts. It's paying off on the field on Friday nights.
It's funny you say it because I talk with Matt Miller about that a lot. I will put Matt Miller's preparation, what he does to get his kids ready. And, they had years where they weren't as successful as they hoped to be. Right. But it had nothing to do with the coaching. It was, eligibility issues with some of the kids or
a run of players,
kids that
didn't match up with some of the other teams.
Yeah, or ended up at others. They had issues where kids ended up at other schools, whatever. Right. But I don't think it's a coaching thing. But now that they got a couple, they're winning. A couple wins will do that. It'll change, and all of a sudden, that kid that's a very good athlete that's on the bubble says, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna play football."
Yeah.
And the truth matters, you only need 3 or 4 really good football players if you can surround them with enough good football players. You probably only need 3 or 4 studs.
Right.
If everybody else is pretty good, you can get there.
We saw that in 2023 with them. A 9-win season does wonders for the kids you're just talking about. Oh, they only win 2 or 3 games. I don't want to do that. Oh, we just won 9 games this year. Oh, maybe I'll change my mind. Or you get one of those guys that come in out of the hallways and stay there and not go to a Westminster or a Man Valley or wherever it might be. You got something. You got something brewing.
Exactly.
You know this, Coach. Everyone goes through a 2-win. You don't want them, but you go through a 2-win season or a 3 or 4, or you just go through a stretch where you just can't win that big game, and it wears on you. And I'm sure it does. I talked to you during the season, and you and I are on the Falkley Challenge. You probably lost a couple hairs along the way, but it just makes what you guys did last year. That's the reward for the hanging in there and persevering. And I think Carroll County does it as a whole.
I agree. And again, I love the collegial atmosphere amongst the coaches. Mm-hmm. We'll talk. Everybody will help each other out. You need an extra large helmet or double X because you got some huge kid. Yeah,
some big-headed kid.
Yeah, somebody will have something. Sure. They're just a group of guys that I think everybody obviously wants to be a successful individual, but I think if anybody goes to the state championship, we'll all be rooting for that team to win. Like, everybody hopes it's them first.
Sure.
But if it's not, if it's Winners Mill or Westminster, I'll be a big fan. I'll be an owl for a day or
at least a few hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like that's a prevailing. I mean, when South Carroll made that run a couple years
absolutely.
ago, they're your rivals, and obviously Century too. But I think if I talked to both you guys that day, you were hoping South Carroll gets the win in the game.
Yeah.
They had to play Dunbar, so it was a little bit tough, but that's a tough one.
Yeah.
You've been a long time educator in Howard County, and it's coming to an end. You get to retire here soon. Congratulations on that. What's that going to be like? How's the dynamic change as you go from not having to worry about that so much anymore to really focusing on what you want to focus on with the football team?
I'll be curious because I've coached longer than I taught. I actually started out, I thought I was going to be an engineer, and thermodynamics got me, and I decided I wasn't going back to Widener.
Okay.
So I was working at Meriwether Post, and Joe Russo goes, "You're not going back? You're not going to play football?" I said, "No." He goes, "Oh, you're going to be my JV football coach." So I started coaching JV football at Hammond High School back in 1988, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe 87. And so I loved it. I was working for Payne Weber Mortgage Finance, but I loved coaching. So I kind of went up to Towson and went, "Here's my transcript." And they're like, "Well, you were an engineering major. You have all this math. Why don't you become a math teacher?" And it took me a couple years to, between going part-time and working jobs and everything. But, eventually I got there. So I've never coached and not had to worry about anything else. So I'm kind of excited about this.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm not sure how excited my wife is.
You'll be around too much.
But the good news is, I'm not looking at it as retirement. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I mean, I don't want to do anything full time, but if I can find the right part-time opportunity or something like that, or the right full, I mean, I guess there's always. Everybody needs a math teacher someplace, so maybe we'll figure it out. But I'm a little nervous about my days. I don't think I'll have any problem filling them in the fall.
Right.
So it's going to be once football's over.
Yeah.
What am
Winter,
I doing?
spring, summer.
Exactly. What am I doing the rest of the year?
But you find the flow. You find the balance there.
Exactly.
And,
exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited. It's been a great life. I've been very fortunate. The teachers at Mount Hebron were phenomenal. One of the reasons I chose math was my math teachers, and I got to work with two of them. Matter of fact, one is outlasting me. He's going to be on, I want to say, his 42nd year of teaching.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so he's
still going strong.
He's still going strong. I was in his class the first day he taught at Mount Hebron High School, 34 years ago. 30-something years ago.
30x years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But it's exciting. It's a little nervous. I turn the papers in tomorrow, so
we got you today. Then
exactly.
And then before I wanted to ask you one more thing about that, about Liberty, but coaching your kids. We just talked before we pressed record. You got to coach both sons. Maybe you didn't. It went so fast you didn't really realize you were actually watching them play football. But this has been a couple years removed now. But what was that experience like for you?
So we talk about that. Like, I always joke, if my kids were the quarterback, I would have never been able to coach them. Because I did a pretty good job of not talking about it at the dinner table. But when I would watch film, let's be honest, the quarterback's probably the most important position on the field, and that those are the mistakes you get the most. And I was fortunate that both my kids were really good athletes, and they were both very coachable. I always joke, I brought Corey up as a sophomore. We had two kids that, getting it back to overdoing things, played summer league baseball, and they both admitted that they played 84 games of baseball, and they were burnt out, and they didn't want to play football.
Yeah.
And they were going to be our two backup linebackers. They were juniors, and we had some pretty good seniors at linebacker. So we get up, and I asked Spencer Kieran, Corey, Zach Morris, and Michael Phillips. I said, "Hey, you guys, all four of you guys are invited to play on the varsity."
And Corey's your son.
Corey Luthe's my son. Yeah. All four of you guys are invited on the varsity, but I can't promise any of you a starting spot. Well, Spencer and Mike went back down to JV, and Zach and Corey stayed up. Well, I looked at Corey and said, "You don't really have a choice because I know your dad, and he'll have to deal with you not playing." And it worked out. Probably the greatest. I mean, we did well that year. We turned around. That was the year we went 7-3. But early in the season, we were scrimmaging in Oakdale, a Frederick County school, and our long snapper gets knocked out. He came to the sideline. I'm Superman. No, like he
was out.
concussed. He was done. Corey had long snapped and long snapped his whole life. So all of a sudden, and every long snap from there on out, Rick, my assistant coach Rick Anderson, be like, "You can't yell at him any more than you would another kid.
Right.
You can't hold." And he was fine. He did fine. But and then we got up to Francis Scott Key.
Uh-huh.
And kid in front of him was playing running back for us, and he was struggling a little bit on defense. And they were running the option there, and they weren't following their assignment. So Lance Evans puts Corey in, and he made like 3 plays in a row. And I'll never forget Jake Moret was one of the seniors. And I'm trying to be neutral. I don't want to get.
Sure.
He goes, "Clap your hands. You would clap for anybody else." He goes, "I don't care if it's your son." And I felt like if a senior said that was okay. Was okay. And from then on, he started at outside backer for us, and then eventually moved inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was really cool. And then Ryan's sophomore year, same type of thing. Somebody ended up hurt, and I can't remember who it was. He came up kind of to be a backup, and somebody ended up hurt, and he ended up moving into that spot and played very well. And we always joke, I missed his first touchdown because I was talking about defense, and I hear his touchdown, and I go, I'm on the phone. Brad, who scored that? He goes, Ryan scored it. And he went, it was a corner route. Just act like you saw it.
Good corner route, yeah.
But yeah, it took until college where I could actually sit there and kind of watch Corey as a football, as my son and not as a football player.
Sure.
But coaching them was a great experience, And again, we were fortunate. We had won the county. Corey's senior year, when Corey was a senior and Brian was a sophomore, we had that huge hit game against Century. They were 8-1. We were 9-0. Yep. And I think Pat Stoetzer of the Times picked Century to beat us.
Oh, I didn't pick anybody to beat you, but that's all right.
But
you guys beat them.
Yeah, but it was the first time Liberty had won the championship in a while.
Yep.
And to have your 2 sons and you went undefeated. It was just it was a special year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it definitely was a memory. And then Ryan had a couple great years with Nate Ken after that. And,
There's been a lot of great memories and a lot of success.
Exactly.
And but coaching your kids, I imagine it was a nice little added perk.
Yeah, I think I have. It's funny. One of my phone lock screens is the picture of us holding the plaque afterwards,
nice.
And then I think I have a picture of them coming back last year.
Uh-huh.
They got older. I didn't. I don't know how that happened.
I look fine. They look a little bit older. I don't remember picking the last.
You did. Okay. You did. Because I used it. It was bulletin board. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And before I get to the very last thing that you mentioned, it was interesting. Both guys took advantage of an opportunity where someone was down, like a Tyson Puckett did last year. And so sometimes the young guys get their chance, and it's cool to see them make the most of it. And it's happened many times, but there's 3 examples from you right there.
Absolutely.
There are probably other ones too of other kids. Yeah.
I think when kids go play college football, that's their hardest thing for them to understand. College football right now is so regimented. Every drill is filmed. Every rep is filmed. So you might, in a competitive situation, practice a whole week and get 5 competitive reps. You better make sure those 5 competitive reps count.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the hardest things for kids to understand, that if I really want to be good at this, when my opportunity comes, I have to take advantage of it. And vice versa. Like a personal story for me, I finally got to I was on my sophomore year in college. I'm on the starting kickoff team. And I guess the next day I come and I'm not on the starting kickoff team. And I'm like, go up to the coach. I go, what happened? He goes, look at the film. Well, and it was old, so I had to wire, put in the 16 millimeter, put up the 16 millimeter film. I was a cornerback, so I was like the 3rd cornerback, and I was dead last down on the kickoff in practice, dead last in practice down on the kickoff. And he just looked at me and goes, you weren't running fast. I'll put somebody that'll work hard. Yeah. And, they don't understand that that kind of can bury you, and it probably buried me for a good 3 or 4 weeks till somebody else
was slower.
It was slower.
Right. But you remembered it.
Yeah, and it's football at the next level is a game of attrition. Your ability to just be resilient and take advantage of an opportunity when it comes, that's something. I always say that's one of the reasons I don't think we have more Division I players in Carroll County, is because it's got its pros and cons. When you have schools of 1,500 to 2,000. Now all of a sudden you have two starting quarterbacks at different schools. You have two leads in the plays at different schools. You have two homecoming kings too, and there's a lot of positive things. A lot of kids get more experiences than they would never have, and that's a good thing. But when you balance that out with if you go to a Texas school or an Ohio school or even some of the Pennsylvania schools that have 4,000 kids.
Yeah.
Instead of having two starting quarterbacks, you have two kids that really want to play quarterback and compete every single day. Right. And all of a sudden, I'm not going to miss the weight room today, or I'm not feeling great, but I'm going to practice because he's not getting ahead of me. Yeah. And so I think sometimes with the smaller schools, we're not as competitive. Again, and I'm not passing judgment here, but it's just the way the world is. I think at some of the bigger schools, you have to be competitive,
or else you're never going to get in.
Exactly.
That spot.
And I don't always think that we're as competitive individually. Right. I mean, and we'll have a couple, but but I think you would have more because we have some kids that have the athletic ability.
They have to hit that competitive spot.
Right. They have to find that competitive edge isn't always there for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've talked to you about this, and I brought it up again at the end of last year, and we joked about it. So right now you are third all-time in Carroll County wins. Two more, you would tie Ken Johnson, Speedy, who was a coach at Liberty in the start of his career in Carroll County. So three more would get you to second. If it comes, it comes, but what does that kind of thing mean to you? I mean, obviously it means you've been doing the right thing for a long time, and you can't get there without getting wins, and it's about the kids, I know, but does it carry a little extra meaning for you? 83 wins, by the way, third all-time on the list.
Thanks. You know what? I think any coach is a liar if they don't sit down and say, at some point, look at their record. Sure. To give you a little perspective, I finished at Mount Hebron. I was 40 and 60, 20 games under 500. Okay. And we had two seasons where we didn't win a game. And hopefully I'm a whole lot better coach just because I spent a lot more time. But I had a couple. I actually had two kids from Hebron that I coached that went to the NFL, and when you talk to those kids, I think those kids will tell you that most of the kids that I coached, that I was fair, I worked them hard, and they had a great experience. And I'm hoping, to me, that trumps the 83 wins. That being said, it kind of validates what you've been doing, that you've grown as a coach, that we've grown as a program. Rick Anderson's been with me every year, and now I have a bunch of alumni coming back and coaching with me, and then our fifth coach, Steve Pfister, he walked on at Maryland, but to show you how small the world, his dad was my offensive coordinator at Mount Hebron back when I played for him. So all of those things, they come in full circle. I don't think your goal ever, your focus is never to win. Your goal is always to win. But your focus is, how can I put together a great game plan? How can I put my kids in a position to win? Sometimes, how can I make sure I put them in a position that they don't screw this thing up? Because we're that much better than the team we're playing. And I feel like, again, most coaches do a very good job of that, and I've been fortunate that I've gotten to do it at a place for 13 going on my 14th year there. Yeah. And, I'm going to miss Eddie DeVinson, which, since we're on a podcast, a travesty what they're doing to the ADs this year. That's a full-time job if I've ever seen a full-time job, and they're going to make it a stipend job. But he's always been supportive. Yep. I started with Tom. Can't even remember his last name. Tom Klaus. Oh, yeah. He was the original principal there, and then followed that up with Ken, and he's always been very supportive of Ken Gons. And the kids. I mean, the number one, we've had some talent. I would say in just about every game we've played in Carroll County, our kids have been as talented. I've had as much talent as anybody else we've played. Occasionally, look, when I first got there, Westminster had some studs on that team. Right. But it wasn't games that walked on the field we couldn't win. Sure. I mean, they were better that day. Yeah. Yes, but we've always felt like we could play with every team that we've walked out against. So yeah, it's a great feeling to know that Speedy Johnson was a great coach. So if my name goes up with Speedy Johnson and I guess Ken Parker
on the top, yeah,
and
124.
And who's that? Gene after that, Gene Brown.
He's a little lower. It might be Jim Head or Herb Ruby. I can't remember.
Okay.
Some of the old Westminster coaches, but Gene's up there with 60+ wins. So
it's phenomenal. We'll just keep playing one game at a time, and we're trying to get ready for Walkersville, which will be here in I think 60 days. I think is what it is. Yeah.
That was my last question. Are you more pumped about August 13th, the first day you can get together, or September 3rd when you get on the field against Walkersville?
I think there's nothing like the opening game. They're coming to us. We got a great band. We got great pit beef.
You're already looking forward to that.
Yeah,
good fans.
Good fans. Yeah. It'll smell good. The weather will be great.
Yeah, it won't be too cold yet. Yeah.
And so that's phenomenal. But having football every day. That's practice plans. I'm excited. Ben Agostino's coming back, so he's going to be back on our staff this year.
Okay, great.
So
former QB.
Yeah, former QB, college football player, played at Shenandoah. We have 4 of the young kids that came back all have some college experience, which is good for me because I think as a coach, sometimes you fall into this is how we always done it. We won a lot of games here.
Right.
But Ben's got a chemical engineering degree. Mm-hmm. Spencer has a math and computer science double major degree. Jared works for a lawyer.
Not all good looks. You got brains on the staff.
That's what I'm saying. And they are going to challenge me like, hey, this is what we did in college. And there's that fine line from a kid that goes, oh, this is how we did it in college. And you go, yeah, but you're working with different players in college. Right. But oh no, that's a great idea, and how can we incorporate that into what we do here?
Right.
And then offensively, we've evolved constantly. Heck, you might even see some 2-back tight end. You might see some 21 personnel from the Lions this year.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
We might end up even under center.
No way. You're not going to be under center. No chance.
No. But we got to evolve a little bit and play to our talents. Yeah. And that to me, when you have kids that have some different experiences, other than if they just played for me, they're going to think, oh yeah, what we did in high school was good enough. Right. But they're going to bring some outside, some fresh perspective. And I'm excited. When we sit down and talk about that. To me, that's kind of exciting. I always want to learn. I would tell my kids, if you go, every day should be a school day. It doesn't necessarily have to be math, science, English, but you need to learn something every day. And for me right now, when I talk with Spencer and Ben and Jared and Steve, it's learning about football in ways that I didn't think about. And so that's exciting to me.
Well, it's always a pleasure when we come out and talk to you, and thank you for giving us access to the kids and letting us do our thing. And then it all gets started, like you said, August 13th. Less than 30 days from the first day of tryouts, and about 60 or so days till the first game. So,
well, we thank Central Maryland Sports. I mean, it's awesome. The way you guys cover our kids and the fact that my parents can watch a game online.
It's great. And we have a lot of fun. So.
As my dad would say, up on the line.
Up on the line.
Up on the line.
Hey, he's on the line. That's fine. Whatever.
But it is really, I know the kids get excited to see themselves on, and I'm sure they'll watch this podcast and bust on me a little bit.
Oh, maybe a little bit. That's okay.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. That comes with the territory, right?
Hey, Coach Larry, he's got big shoulders. He can take it.
Coach Luthe, good luck this year. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.